Welcome back to Coping Together, where our goal is for us at the Mental Health Association of Central Florida to connect with community partners and address a current issue as well as solutions. As we celebrate Florida's inaugural Youth Mental Health Awareness Week, we are honored that today's guest is Madison Alvarez Brunk, a licensed mental health therapist with Zebra Youth, where all youth ages 13 to 24 can find safety, connection, and hope. They offer affirming housing, mental health services, and community programs designed to build confidence and resilience, with intentional support for lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, and all youth. Zebra Youth ensures that every young person has the opportunity to feel accepted and empowered. And all of their services are free, which we very much like here at the Mental Health Association of Central Florida, since we are also free. So thank you so much for joining us, Madison.
It is like such a pleasure to be here. Thank you so much.
So diving right in, I know that LGBTQ plus youth have higher instances of mental health struggles as well as suicide deaths. To put this in perspective for our viewers, can you please talk about some of the statistics as it pertains to LGBTQ plus youth?
Yeah, I just kind of wanted to open real fast by talking about, I was a little nervous like coming and speaking here today, and I'm a counselor, so I thought like, why am I nervous? And I feel like it's because this just matters so much right now, especially our youth are really struggling. And I actually found statistics for youth in our state. 37% of LGBTQ plus young people in Florida were considering suicide, 11% attempted. That number goes up for our transgender and non-binary and gender expansive youth. 57% of young people LGBTQ plus in Florida reported being bullied because of their sexual orientation. 38% of those that are above 18. Only 1 in 5 ever told an adult, a teacher, a staff member about that bullying that was happening, right? But I also think it's important to point out that the statistics aren't because these youth are broken, right? It's because we have a world that's hard for them. We see 48% of young people in Florida said their community is accepting of LGBTQ plus people. 2/3 of transgender and gender expansive youth reported their families never refer to them with pronouns, screened positive for depression, while less than half did when their families do use the correct pronouns. I think keeping in mind like we can make a difference in these statistics is really important. They're not just like forever.
Yeah, thank you, Madison, for putting it in perspective. And, it really drives home the importance of the work that you're doing at the Zebra Youth and the work that we try to do here as well. So, from a mental health perspective, why do you think it's especially important that we talk about supporting the LGBTQ plus youth right now? So, in addition to those statistics, I didn't know if you had anything to add in regards to the importance of why to support this population right now.
Yeah, no, I think it is an important question. And right now, both like in our political climate and like in our social sort of community, it can be really hard. We're facing a lot of like extra barriers that maybe we didn't face just a few years ago. With that, some also like increased positive steps, hopefully, like people have more hope. But I think it's important to remember that like right now, these youth are in a stage where like identity is so important already, right? Like they're becoming who they are. They're figuring out what relationships and love and care and unhealthy and healthy relationships look like. And so when I hear that question, like I think like that's why it's important right now for our youth is because like we are setting a foundation for the rest of their life, you know?
Definitely. And then I know you touched on this a little bit, but can you go into some more on what are some of the unique mental health challenges that LGBTQ plus youth are facing today?
So, actually just in a consultation the other day was talking to someone and said like our youth aren't unicorns either, right? Like most of the time in my sessions when I'm working with LGBTQ plus youth, we're talking about friendships and belonging and how they want a job. These are sort of your ordinary everyday concerns for a young person, but they have external layers on top of that, right? Like it's not just I want to find a job. It's like how do I find a job where I can use my name and I can dress in a way that's affirming? Like how do I go to school and feel safe when like my teachers aren't allowed to refer to me by a certain name that I chose, I think thinking about that It's not that these are crazy unique challenges, but like they're added layers of stress and challenge on top of what's already going on.
Yeah, definitely. So now trying to work on solutions or ways we can help the LGBTQ plus youth. What are some early warning signs that an LGBTQ plus youth might that they might be struggling emotionally?
Yeah, we have some sort of general ones that I would say for anyone, right? Like typically when youth in general are struggling, you're going to see them isolate, right? They might be spending all their time in their room and they can never get out and they're not doing positive things and they come out and they're like, look at all these fun things I did in my room. They're like, disappointed and they may be hopeless or dejected. You might see them stop hanging out with their friends or stop doing things they used to enjoy. But some of the unique ones are like maybe your youth used to be really open about who they are, right? They were like, hey, like these are my new pronouns and can you try to use them? And then suddenly it's like, actually, no, like this isn't an informed choice I'm making and I'm explaining why. It's like I need to hide again. I need to go back into a closet. Those are some of the things you might see, particularly with our youth, to keep an eye on and to ask questions about.
Thank you. And then what are some helpful phrases that adults can use to show support and validation?
That's a good question because there are so many, right? I think a big one is I'm sorry. I think when we make a mistake, maybe we use the wrong pronoun or we like say the wrong gender for someone. I think it's our tendency to kind of make it about ourselves, right? We're distressed. We're like, oh no, like I promise I care. It was just this. How do we decenter ourselves in that and just say, like, I'm sorry, like I won't do it again and moving forward? I think asking, what do you need from me? Not every youth is going to want the same thing. Some of my youth are like, I want my mom to pick out a dress with me. And some of my youth are like, I do not want to tell any of my parents about my romantic partners at all. And I think being open and asking what support looks like for you. Beyond that, I care about you. I love you. Nothing will ever change the way I feel about you. Your general things you can say, like, you're safe here.
I really like that, that you're safe here. Speaking of safe, how can adults help create that safe space where young people can feel safe and welcome to open up about their identity or their struggles?
That's a good question. Sometimes I think it starts indirectly. We learn our earliest messages about what is okay, what is safe, what is taboo, from like just everyday interactions with media, with like the people you see on the street. Think about like what books you're reading. If you're a teacher, like, are you assigning diverse readings that show that like all voices matter here? If you're a parent, like, are you watching television shows that show diverse storylines and characters that say, and like what conversations are happening after that? Those are sort of the most fundamental ways to make it safe. I also think doing your own work, like, have you thought about your gender dad? Have you thought about your gender teacher? Have you thought about who you love and what attraction and loving other people means to you? Sometimes I think that is some of the earliest work that you can do to make people feel safe. Beyond that, asking questions, not being afraid of not knowing the answer, saying we'll find out together.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, being honest, like you might
Yeah.
not know the answer, but I love that, encouraging adults like to have their youth, like, let's find this together, let's find the answer together. We're approaching Pride Month, June. What's one message that you want every LGBTQ plus young person watching to hear right now?
So I could like think and ponder over this for weeks, but I think I finally decided what I want to say. I think everyone, including you, deserves a space where you can feel safe and yourself and joy and love and acceptance and belonging. I can only imagine how painful it is if you don't have that right now, or if you don't have it in every part of your life. But I hope you know that there are adults and places and people that care and that are fighting for you, even if they're not the people that are right around you.
Beautiful. I think that's a beautiful way to end. And I thank you so much again, Madison, for coming and speaking with us on this very important topic. And I hope that people are listening and they know that they are loved and that they're, hopefully that even if they don't know us or know others, they're loved. Thank you again, and we'll see everybody next month. Thank you. Bye.